Hello everybody and welcome to the Team Calamity YouTube page. I'm Richard.
And I'm Mitch.
And welcome to the next episode of Fringe Play Friday. Our card of the week this week is Hero Squall. Mitchell's on the left, I'm on the right, and Mitchell was running a Earth Ice deck.
And Rich was running a Ice Water deck. So The idea behind my deck was when I summon Hero Squall, because it's so easily killed, I wanted to keep it alive with a Hashmal, so I could change it into either a Warrior of Light or a Mannequin with Phantasmal Harlequin just to give it the 2000 boost, which actually worked quite well. Not that I played Hero Squall that much during the tournament, but I did end up going 3-1, which is ended up me being one of the top players in the tournament.
I went 2-2 this week with Ice Water. I don't think it was a very good direction to take the deck. The main point was to play quite aggressively with Hero Squall and use cards like Gordon to have for defensive purposes. I was also using the Rare Laguna from Opus 1 and the legendary Rinoa and have them all kind of buffing each other, and along with Duke Larg I can make the pair of them 10,000. But the key play would be to threaten with Rinoa, potentially play quite aggressive with her, swing with 10k every turn. If they wanted to do something to break her, then they'd risk taking more points of damage, unless they were running activation effects.
So both of our decks, I feel, struggled with the Emperor, because you had Time Mage and like Astrologians all around, based around that effect, and I feel like Earth struggles against Emperor. But luckily I only saw a couple of Emperors during the tournament. I managed to deal with them quite easily with Railbarn and stuff like that. But I'm not sure how Water dealt with it. Did you come across it at all?
I didn't. No one really played it against me. However, if they did, I didn't really have that much to do with it.
Yeah.
I could Leviathan it back to hand, but that was pretty much it. If they swung with it, I could Matthias it, but no one was really swinging. No one really swings with Emp these days, because they know that a lot of the counterplay comes from either it being dulled so that you can Mustadio it, or if they hit an EX burst, they've kind of thrown it under the bus.
Yeah, that seems to be the play at the moment, is just to keep the Emperor there, like as safe as you possibly can, and just hopefully an EX burst won't take it out somehow. And that's why in my deck you'll see there's 3 Railbarns, just because I was quite worried about the card.
Yeah, we will see 2 of them quite soon, which was upsetting.
Yeah, because I think they stay in your hand this game, don't they?
Yeah, I did run Emp for this deck, but I really regret it. I wish I did something that was a little bit more useful. If you do fall behind, playing Emperor just feels terrible. And if you're under pressure, you'll feel like you want to play anything else in your hand other than the Emperor, something to give you just a bit more immediate power. So unfortunately, it did end up that I had 2 Emperors in hand and really couldn't get them out to much effect. You'll just see the first of quite a few misplays come through. We were trying to record this in a rush, the shop was shutting and we were quite short on time. I was meant to dull and freeze the Tamer as well. But you'll see there's quite a few misplays in this game.
Yeah, luckily it doesn't come to too much, because I don't actually use Tamarin when it would be frozen or dulled. So it doesn't actually come down to too much. But because I knew this era summoned Guys straight away, and it was actually one of the cards I was looking for against your deck, because I know the Rinoa idea behind it is just you want to freeze all my forwards and just get through as much as possible. And as soon as I saw Guy, I felt like it was going to be a big struggle for your deck.
Yeah, the logic behind the early play Gordon was to just try and take his Squall out of the game, so he could swing with Squall, and it would dull all my backups, but I'd be able to sort of take the free block with Gordon, and because he doesn't run much damage effects, there's not much he could do to kind of get him off the field.
And now there's another misplay from you there, where you wanted to dull something, but as I said, you can't dull Guy, and trying to dull, there's nothing else you can dull, so it's almost for no value. But you are boosting Rinoa in response, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, don't try and give me some sort of like get out clause for that. I was genuinely trying to dull the guy. That's just a show of how tired I was by this point.
Yeah, so I tightened the guy there just to keep it alive, but to be honest, I wasn't expecting the swing with Gordon.
No one ever expects the swing with Gordon.
So, yeah, with the guy, as I said, I did feel quite comfortable because I could also swing with all my other fours now, so I could get at least 2 points of damage in because Darling or Rich's backups would boost Squall over Laguna, and then the feel bad moment when you swing with Guy. I think I would have actually rather have lost Hero Squall there than Guy, but just in terms of the video, it's probably nicer just to see the Hero Squall just actually doing a little bit more than just dying instantly, which everyone expects it to do.
Yeah, I mean, and it's quite matchup specific. You know, there's quite a lot of times where Hero Squall being on the field probably would have been quite beneficial to you.
Yeah. As I said, during the actual tournament, I didn't see it that much. The only time I did see it was against a Lightning Ice deck, which what I did was only summoned it after I'd seen Alcid, because I didn't want Alcid just to pop it straight away and pay 5 just to get it popped straight away. So I'd wait until Alcid was on the field, then summon Squall, and then I could start swinging, so if another Alcid came in on the field, he would already be dull and not be able to be targeted.
So do you just want to go kind of like the strengths and weaknesses of your deck, Mitchell? Yeah,
so I feel, because I'm running 3 Hashmal, the strength of it is that I've got the party tricks of, I can, for example, in this deck, I can tap one of my Earth, which would be Tama, to make all my units either a Warrior of Light, which again gives everything a 2,000 power damage reduction, or I could change them into mannequins, and as you see with the Phantasmal Harlequin, keep it alive by giving it a 2,000 power boost, which did happen quite a few times. I managed to just surprise my opponent because no one really plays the Hashmal that much as well, especially in a deck like this.
It's good that you had the flexibility of the use as well. Like if you had, if I did manage to get Emp out, that would kind of close off your ability to use Phantasmal Harlequin and take away the option of turning things into mannequins. But then, as you say, the backup plan is then to have a Warrior of Light on the field, declare the Warrior of Light, and you still get there's still a purpose of actually having that card in hand and not just discarding it. So it's good that you've got that kind of flexibility. Yeah, and as I said, Hashmal does give the 1,000 boost as well, which gives so if I was to do the Phantasmal Harlequin, it'd be effectively giving something 3,000 power boost. And if I'm doing that on Hero Squall with First Strike, he's 9k First Strike, and that doesn't include all your opponent's dull characters. So it's definitely something to think about when they're trying to actually get through you. But the deck was more orientated around a late game, sort of controlling your opponent. In this deck, you don't really see it that well because I'm not really getting rid of Rich's forwards, but I am doing the damage, which was important to me. But then I also ran Gipple just to either Tamer it in or Devout it in, so I could swing with one of my forwards and threaten the Devout to bring in Gipple, which would be in the break zone or in hand with Tamer. And your opponent, if they wanted to block, they would lose their forward. Or you just get a 3 point of damage. It was completely up to them. But it was just a strong play all round, and as I said, going 3-1, it seemed to work quite well. So if you want to go... The strengths and weaknesses of Water Ice were... there was a lot more weaknesses than strengths. I don't feel like this deck kind of achieved what I wanted it to. But, I mean, the strengths are when you have Laguna and you have Squall and you have Rinoa out, it's a good power trio. It allows you to go aggressive with Squall, like I am here, and then you've still got a good amount of defensive power, with Gordon, with Rinoa, with Laguna, just kind of holding the fort. But I don't think the Squall really generates enough pressure for you to do that. So ideally you'd kind of want more kind of power forwards in there. Because you're running water, you do have access to Whacker, which I was running, but I never really played him because I was more focused on getting the Rinoa, Squall, Laguna trio out. You could run Tidus for in situations like this where you've got quite an established board state. He could then go up to 11,000 and it generates that extra bit of pressure. But I think having a bit more emphasis on offensive power probably would have taken it in the right direction. Weaknesses, it's very, very slow out of the gate. As you see, I took a lot of damage very early just because Mitchell did play quite aggressive. He managed to get 3 backups out on, was it turn 1?
Yeah, turn 1.
Yeah, which is, it's a bit of a dream play, but a dream start. But that just absolutely put me on the back foot, and I just felt like I needed to just keep throwing stuff out to deal with the level of aggression that he was generating with his cards. Emp was probably a weakness just because a lot of the time I wasn't getting it out enough, or didn't seem appropriate to get it out because I needed something that was more immediately useful. More weaknesses, no removal with the exception of Mateus.
And Leviathan, please.
Yeah, and Leviathan, but that's only really kind of like temporary solution.
Yeah, temporary.
Another big weakness I didn't really think when I was building the deck was that a lot of the time I was using backups with action abilities, and whilst Time Mage from Opus 1 was fantastic, Astro was fantastic in some of the matchups, having both of them out means that you're never really dulling your backups to generate CP, or there's too much of a detriment to do it because then you expose yourself. The moment you dull Astro, people who play dull effects are just going to go crazy. So like I probably would play more backups with less action effects just so you can be a bit more economic with how you play, because I was discarding a lot from hand to make the plays that I wanted to make.
So you can see there that I actually wishing styled Rinoa's special on the Time Mage, and again that was another misplay because it should be dulled this turn and it would allow me to swing with Rinoa. But as I said, we were playing late and it was a bit of a rush to get through the game. But as I said, with I have noticed in your deck you did go with the Time Mage. Did you run a Bat or anything like that?
No, it got to the point where I felt like it was either run Time Mage or Bat.
Yeah.
And I decided Time Mage would probably help me. If I was taking a lot of damage early, I could probably use the Time Mage to just kind of buy myself a little bit of time. But when people were playing really aggressive like you were, you played your 3 backups and those were the only 3 backups you played, and then everything else was just forward or summon. It didn't help me deal with the pressure that way. And another person at the shop was playing a ice fire discard deck, and it didn't help me with the pressure of that as well. Playing with Shulk and playing with Gaddo and just kind of swarming the field, it didn't really help me deal with that pressure either.
So I think the reason that we both went for 3 backups is because we knew what our opponent was playing with the hero Squall, so we didn't want to give them the boost that much. Like yours would have been 10k with the Duke Clark, mine would have been 9k. So if we'd have played more backups, we would have been able to overpower each other. So there's no reason for you to summon or play any more backups, because then I could start hitting over like Rinoa, Laguna and stuff like that. Yeah, especially while I have Guy on the field.
I can maybe stall the game out until I can get a Cloud of Darkness or something, and just maybe something to kind of even out the field a bit. But you're right in what you're saying, in that we kind of stopped playing backups because we didn't want to make each other's Squall bigger. And while that seems a bit silly because we're playing a mirror match and it's not really representative of what would happen in a real game, it does give you an idea of the decision making that your opponent will have to make if you do play hero Squall. It's not something that you personally would have to worry about. You can play as many backups as you want, but your opponent will probably start thinking, maybe I don't want to play backups because I don't want to make his Squall giant, in which case do they start discarding more from hand? Do they start filling the field with more forwards, which then leaves them a bit more exposed to board clears because they'll lose a little bit more than you do? And it's the psychological effect of hero Squall more than the actual effect of playing him.
Yeah, because when I was playing against it, one of my opponents did say he didn't want to play any more backups because he was boosting Hero Squall, and every time I was swinging, he couldn't do anything against it. It was a wind water. So when you got the Riku Pain backups, the Riku Yuna backups, and you summon Pain, all he could do was mill me, but I was swinging for like 9-10k, and their whole deck is around summoning, playing like 5 backups. So that card I could just keep swinging every time, and they didn't want to block anything because they would just keep losing forwards each turn, and it sort of put them on a timer because the threat of Squall was because he's also got first strike. I wasn't going to be taking any damage from it. It was just a big problem for some decks to deal with.
I mean, potential counters to Hero Squall include Opus 2 Time Mage, where you can dull it and it makes a forward lose haste. Is it haste and or first strike? Or
yes, as first strike as well. That's
okay.
So then, like in the mirror match, that would be good. But we always said we wouldn't play that just because it was the we didn't want to counter each other.
Yeah, we did want to make decks that would be competitive outside of just our event of Fringe Play Friday kind of thing. Yeah.
So
more counters probably include bounce effects because he is quite expensive at 5 CP. So things like Leviathan, 5-drop Yuna, in Opus 3 potentially Sildra would be quite strong against him.
He's also susceptible to EX bursts in the regard, like for example, a fire deck with the burn. So like if I hit like a Brunhilde off the top, even and they had no backups, which actually happened during a game. They had no backups. I swung with Hero Squall, and he had only dole forwards, and hit a Brunhilde off the EX burst, and because I couldn't respond to it to save it, it just died instantly, and it was one of the like feel bad moments of the game.
You know, your deck can kind of... I was going to say can kind of get around it, but it can't.
Yeah,
I was going to say when it's an EX burst, you can't.
With an EX burst, it can't. I mean, as I said, I did have the hash mouse in hand and stuff like that to Warrior of Light it for those sort of situations, but an EX burst, like maybe I could have done it in. I could have done it in preparation or something like that, but you don't want to play around that. You just hope to be lucky and not hit the EX bursts.
Yeah, no, you don't do anything silly and play like a golem prior to attacking. It's like, right, just in case I hit that Brunhilde.
Yeah, as I said, so those sort of. But then again, that's the worry about playing such a high cost forward in Hero Squall. But my deck, he is the only 5 cost, I believe, in my deck. So the idea was to swarm the field with 4 drops and 3 drops, and then if the Hero Squall would be the one with the target on the back, and that's the one that I'm planning to protect. Everything else can like pretty much just die. In all honesty, especially Rinoa. Like I'm quite happy to just throw Rinoa under the bus a few times.
So, as we're approaching Opus 3, can you think of any of the spoiled cards that would assist Hero Squall?
I think, off the top of my head, I know Atomos, the Earth Summon, which is basically a Raoban, deal damage to a forward, your highest attack to another forward. I think that would be good for removal. So if you swing with Squall, they won't want to block it because it's so high. Then you can use Atmos to pop one of your opponent's forwards and swing with the rest.
7 might be quite good in protecting, in a situation where you've got quite a strong board state. If you were playing Ice Wind, having 7 to have the ability to cancel auto effects could be pretty beneficial. 7
also ruins the card as well, because if you swing with the 6k and your ability goes on the stack, 7 can just cancel the ability and you're just swinging with a 6k first strike, which is an easy block.
Yeah, that's a good counter as well. another big one for me is also Zalira, the Death Seraph, which is the 4-drop Ice Summon, break all dull forwards of cost 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 and 13. Does that sound right?
Yeah, so it's all prime numbers. So yeah. But then again, you can't actually swing with Squall doing it because then he'll break himself.
Is it all forwards?
I believe, yeah.
You control?
No, I believe it's all forwards. So I mean, you could swing with Rinoa, like in this deck, you could swing with Rinoa, and then play Zalira, break Rinoa, and then swing with Squall, swing with all the other forwards.
Yeah, I think that would quite help because although it doesn't deal with 4-drops, you know, one drop's a little bit less relevant, but
yeah,
you know, being able to clear the field is something that Ice doesn't have currently in its kit, and I think that would really benefit Hero Squall, is because there's so much emphasis on, you know, keeping him alive and having those combos in place. That being able to empty your opponent's side of the field would feel really good.
I think 7's going to change the meta as well a little bit more, because she can make all of the typo forwards unblockable by 4 or higher. People are going to run more 2s and 3s just to be able to block, and then Zalira is going to come in and whenever they swing with that, be able to break all of those. And playing with Hero Squall, you'll probably be best only playing it just Hero Squall. So having that big one forward that will just swing through everything, and all the little forwards aren't going to be able to block it other than just dying. It's just going to be, it could actually see more play, I believe.
So we're only a couple of weeks away now, so we'll find out when we start seeing more spoiled cards.
Yeah, some more legendaries.
But that's everything for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching.